Do you know the chilling story of Lizzie Borden's house? Do you know how this beautiful property became a place of horror and is now a bed and breakfast you can visit? Join me in this intriguing story. On the peaceful morning of August 4th, 1892, the quiet town of Fall River, Massachusetts, was plunged into the darkness of a mystery that would live on in the collective memory. In the opulent Borden home, the family lived a reality more reminiscent of a nightmare than of the comfortable life that their social position afforded them. Andrew Borden, a respected businessman, and his second wife, Abby, lived in a mansion of austere design that contrasted with the rigid and suffocating atmosphere within its walls. However, that day would change the fate of the Borden family forever. Andrew's youngest daughter, Lizzie Borden, a 32-year-old woman, became the epicenter of a tragedy involving the brutal murder of her own parents. The news spread like wildfire in the small community, and soon, curiosity and horror gripped the people of Fall River. On the fateful morning, as the clock ticked down the hours that would lead to tragedy, Lizzie was at the residence with her father and stepmother. Family tensions, rumors of financial strife and inherited feuds had gathered like a storm on the horizon. But no one could have anticipated what would be unleashed. The crime, without mercy or compassion, took place at the Borden residence. Andrew Borden was found lifeless on the living room couch, beaten with an axe. The scene was so grisly that neighbors and police could hardly believe their eyes. But the tragedy did not stop there. Upon ascending the stairs, investigators discovered the body of Abby Borden, Lizzie's stepmother, in one of the rooms. She had also been raped and her life was cut short in a senseless act. 2 bodies, 1 house, and only one suspect, Lizzie Borden. The young woman, who had allegedly been home during the time of the crime, became the focus of an investigation that would leave Fall River reeling. The circumstances were puzzling, the young woman's account was contradictory, the evidence was scant, and the community was divided between those who believed in Lizzie's guilt and those who defended her as innocent. The fog of suspicion hung over Fall River as the Lizzie Borden trial unfolded, weaving a web of intrigue that enveloped the city in palpable tension. Locals, eager to learn the truth behind what happened to Andrew and Abby Borden, flocked to the courthouse to witness a legal spectacle that would become one of the most sensational of the era. The courtroom, permeated with a dense air, housed the struggle between the prosecution and the defense. Lizzie, soberly dressed, faced questioning stares as she struggled to defend herself against the accusations that she was the perpetrator of the crimes that had rocked Fall River. Tensions escalated as the lawyers made their case, woven with the thirst for justice and the veracity of public opinion. At the epicenter of the trial, Lizzie remained stoic, her face barely revealing the complex emotions raging inside her. The hearing was becoming a theater of emotions, where truth and falsehood were intertwined in a dangerous game. Society was divided between those who clamored for the conviction of the alleged murderer and those who, inspired by the defense, considered the possibility of a miscarriage of justice. Testimonies followed one after another, each one shedding light on the dark night of the crime. Neighbors, servants, and forensic experts paraded on the stand, each word uttered fueling the uncertainty surrounding the case. The defense deftly questioned every detail, challenging the prosecution's narrative and revealing inconsistencies that left the audience on edge. At the climax of the trial, Lizzie Borden was found not guilty by a jury that could not overcome the barrier of reasonable doubt. The courtroom erupted in a mixture of shock and dismay. Fall River residents, unable to accept the acquittal of the woman who had been fingered as the perpetrator of one of the most notorious crimes of the era, were torn between disbelief and relief. In the wake of Lizzie Borden's acquittal, Fall River was in a state of constant turmoil. The community, divided and held captive by the events that had shaken its foundations, watched with suspicious eyes the woman who had been fingered as the perpetrator of a brutal crime. But for Lizzie, the release did not mark the end of her hardships. After the dark events that engulfed the Borden house, Lizzie and her sister Emma, scarred by tragedy, sought a new beginning in Maplecott, a house that resonated with promises of peace and oblivion. Yet the shadows of the past lingered, clinging to the hallways and darkest corners of their lives. An air of tension hung over Maplecott as the sisters tried to leave behind the past that haunted them. The relationship between Lizzie and her sister Emma, already strained by previous events, became even more fragile in this new chapter of their lives. The house that once seemed to be a haven became a scene of discord. Arguments echoed off the walls, the echo of unrevealed secrets resounded in every corner. Finally, the bond that united them was broken. In an act of painful decision, Emma left Maplecott, leaving behind her sister and the past that threatened to consume them. The fate of the Borden sisters took different turns. Lizzie, marked by loneliness and stigma, lived her last days facing the ghosts of her own existence. Pneumonia, like a persistent shadow, claimed her on June 1, 1927. However, the story would not end with her death. 9 days later, Emma, the sister who sought to distance herself from the shadows of the past, also departed. Death took with it the answers to unresolved questions, and the Maplecott house was plunged into a sepulchral silence, as if the weight of history had left an indelible mark. Lizzie Borden, though acquitted by the law, could never completely escape social condemnation. The shadow of guilt haunted her until her last breath, and her story, shrouded in mystery and controversy, became an unforgettable chapter in American folklore. To this day, her figure is remembered with fascination and awe, an enigmatic figure that defies comprehension and continues to capture the imagination of those willing to dive into the depths of her intriguing legacy.